Excuse me. I have to blow my nose. Oh, hey. I'll need a couple of Tik Taks after that. Not wanting to flog a product, but these are my constant companions. They relieve boredom, they help with depression, and they're good for if you're giving up smoking. I always use them as a prop when I stop smoking cigarettes. And after my trip overseas, a couple of weeks on the tobacco, I've had a couple since I've been back, but got the Kong, so I'm still getting a small percentage of nicotine, enough to keep the cravings at bay, I suppose. Now, continuing on from, well, if it is continuing on from the last disc, I was talking about our dark side. Now, if you read Carl Jung, same Sigmund Freud, they all say that we have this other personality, this dark side that some people call their demons, for want of a better explanation. They're in denial, right? These people that refuse to acknowledge the dark side, because every one of us in previous lives have been murderers, rapists, pillagers. Every atrocity known to mankind has been perpetrated upon us and have been perpetrators of such acts. Right? So, somewhere in our genetic psyche are memories of horrible, horrible experiences. And these can be crutches to validate crazy people doing crazy things. And I'm saying, just make sure that you are aware of your dark side. Acknowledge your dark side. Embrace your dark side occasionally. It's good because I said before about suppressing anything. If you hold anything down tenfold later on, when it chooses to surface, and it does, sorry, the ghost just walked in. Speaking of ghosts, my dad hangs around here occasionally. Not here, down the bottom place in the shack. I filmed his grave on the side of the hill there, on the previous disc. Yeah, dark sides. Make sure you exercise them, because the consequences of not. Well, I won't go into explanations. I've probably bored you enough talking about this. Our dark sides, though, I have this. My manuscript for my autobiography, 430 pages there, and that's only just over half of my life's covered. So there's a lot of room there for a sequel. However, I wanted to do a little bit more to finish this off, then consider a sequel, but because I want to put some icing on this little cake, for want of a better explanation. Here. Okay, you can see. Clear my throat, sorry. Images such as this. Oh, sorry. Let me introduce to you my Groems. Now, Groems is a word, excuse me, got horrible indigestion. Groems is a word I coined to describe graphics and poems together. And this is an example of a Groem, a graphic and text for the poem. Now, when I made these in the early 90s, I had a formula that I had to work to, because I had to fit them inside an envelope. The poems all had to be 8 to 10 words per sentence and 16 to 22 lines per poem. Any bigger wouldn't fit within this small space that I had. Now, let's just going very quickly through some of these. Many of them are very dark, these. There's a bit of a sensual one there. Our jailers, jail, escaping from prison, the prison theme. Another one with the prison theme. Jigsaw, interesting. Political jokes, volatilities, sorry, but these are political jokes. My caricatures of, well, this one's ended up being quite famous. John Laws actually wrote me a letter about this poem, but it's another story. Prison. That one was in one of the magazines that was published, ended up being published, that one. As did this Mummy's Boy. Wound up in a magazine. Toilet. See? You've got to watch how this light is here. Yeah, jail theme. Jail theme. Jail theme. That was in the first book. Jail theme. Jail theme. This one, not laminated. Reason. Won't go into it now. Dark sides. Here we go. Medusa. This was a variation on my basic theme. The little red hen. Quite ferocious, isn't she? This was a little dark piece. Solace. Soul piece. A little bit of vanity exercising here when I was a BHC. Drug theme. Obvious drug theme. Dark side. See, the dichotomy of our existence, of our mentality, of our thinking. Abidines, remember, I'm partial. Dark side. Dark side. Sinners. The Sinners League. Give me. My alter ego, the frog. You know, the princess has to kiss the frog to break the spell. Team Shant. This is my tribute to the boys when they won the comp in 1991. Sorry, 92. Gooey mushy love poem. Gooey mushy love poem. Gooey mushy love poem. Gooey mushy love poem. A cry for help. Mushy love poem. Now, all of these Groems all have...
You got a chainsaw file?
No.
No, you didn't have one.
Just a visit from Sister. Yes, these Groems, one at some time I will actually get round to reading the poems, and maybe some people will get off them. A lot of people will enjoy them because there is something for everybody in these poems, and the graphics as well don't necessarily fit the poems, which is another little twist that I concocted whilst creating these as I did them. Excuse me, as an ongoing project when I did my bit for Her Majesty, cleansed my karma and redressed all of my past actions. Yeah, so that's that. And again here, this is a very detailed bit of work, written when I was totally straight. However, I want to redo another draft because this is only the third, by the way. I want to do another draft to change the tense of it, and also to change my attitude in the because this was written in 2 blocks and over a period of 10 years difference, right? So in that 10-year period I matured as a writer as well, And I'd lost, when I first started writing this, I was a motherfucking prick, you know, male chauvinist, pig prick. And thank God I've recovered from that attitude, that mentality, that way of life. And yeah, become somebody else, someone a hell of a lot more mellow and still a little bit paranoid, and you know, the world is still a very threatening place for me in certain respects. However, it's somewhere that I have to live, so I live. Fortunately, I live in the bush now, and I don't have to deal with a hell of a lot of people. However, I am a gregarious person in certain respects, in that I like to occasionally interact with groups of people. However, I always prefer my own time because, as I said, I am an individual and I've lived with myself all of my life. I developed certain customs and attitudes that I'm questioning whether I'm willing to give them up for the sake of a relationship. However, if the right person was to come along, I would gladly do that, sacrifice those attitudes. It's like the old, I'll tell you the card in the tarot, it's Prometheus, the hanging man. That is the same, symbolic of having to give up something, some cherished attitude or something that's been very close to you in order to get something better. And it should have to be something very special for me to give up myself for the sake of a relationship. You know, as I said, I've written many pages of text on this very subject. And the people, they're codependent, and they're willing to put up with the most horriblest people in really, really shitty, unhealthy relationships, but for the sake of having someone to be around and sleep with, they take these people on that then they, after they're in a relationship, they're going to themselves, oh, what am I doing here? You know, but I can't leave because I fear being alone and stepping out into the world and not having the security and the safety blanket of a phony relationship. Yeah, so choose your lovers with care, because relationships today with the young ones is ridiculous anyway. So they have many relationships, what's the term they use? Friends with benefits. That to me translates that, you know, someone you can fuck and it's okay, and you know, then go off and be with somebody else. Let's leave modern day morality and ethics and principles alone for the present, because we have other fish to fry, dear. In the background here, while this is going on, the football's on, and I just occasionally glanced across just to see how the young guys are going in the Arrive Alive Cup. Now, next, right, again, remember this, big birds don't fly. And I know one day I'll get my finger out of my arse and get more on top of this depression thing. That'll be a bestseller. I know that because academic friends have read my manuscript and they all say, wow, this is great. So I take that as a compliment from those particular people because they're pretty well read. And others I wouldn't even give it to read because they wouldn't read it and take forever. They probably haven't read a book from cover to cover in their lives, which is an interesting thing. I asked people a question if I'm sort of toying around trying to find out a little bit about them. What's the last 3 books you've read? 3 books. And often the case is people say they've only ever read 1 or 2 books in their life. And that's tragic. I mean, but probably 75% of the population don't read books. I mean, I know there is would be a hardcore 25% that regularly, staunchly read a book a week or, one every couple of days, but, that's more obsessive fanaticism. Get a life, maybe. But book reading is very therapeutic. But in my case, I've never read... I have read... I can count on one hand how many fiction books I've read. Non-fiction is my thing. Learn something, autobiographies, true stories, da-da-da. That's my cup of tea. It's the same as in the television. Documentaries, current affairs, no commercial TV whatsoever. I mean, I'd be one of the few people that never watched an episode of Seinfeld, Neighbours, Home and Away, all those police shows, sitcoms. Never ever watch any of them, ever. Never have, ever. I just can't stand that canned laughter and that American comedy. Dare I call it comedy? And I don't know if people realise the subtleties in British comedy and American comedy. Well, to me it's black and white, chalk and cheese, but it might be subtle to others. Some people probably aren't even aware of it. But the British system of laughter is based on titsy bumsy, double entendres, innuendo type gags. On the other hand, I have 5 fingers, making funnies. Now, on the other hand, American humour is totally based on belittling people, running them down, or being thoroughly obsessive, compulsive, bipolar in their crazy behaviour. But this is acting. But this acting is now taken on as these actors are role models now for the youth who want to act and be precocious, pretentious, bombastic brat kids, you know, that think they're all grown up and mature. But anyway, I'm digressing again. We go back to the American comedy, which is all based on ridicule, you know, and sarcasm and cynicism, you know, all very extremely low forms of wit, I'm afraid. But that type of comedy has been grafted onto Australian culture, in that our youth are imitating these American idiot role models, you know, in these dickhead shows. I mean, how people can watch them, you know. I feel so sorry for them, you know what I mean. Anyway, getting back to my taste in television, I can't stand watching any of that drama, sitcom, game show crud that, and now reality TV ices the cake ices the cake of moronic mentality, you know, and these shows are just becoming lifestyles within themselves, because people just sit there and watch these shows all day and night. It's like we're promoting a predatory culture, in that it's all this. Look at this. What's going on here? The eye. The eye and the spy under the fly under the microscope. You know, that's what we do, and we live in this world now where everyone likes to spy and, you know, take pictures and watch people, you know, see what other people do. Mostly in order to compare themselves to those people, to say, oh, does that person act and talk normally? Yes, he does. Well, I'd like to sort of maybe act like that person or be like that person. You know? Be very careful of of who you choose to imitate, because in my time I've had very few role models, but I've selected them very carefully and very astutely, knowing that these people would influence me for the rest of my life. It's like marrying somebody, you know what I mean? And these role models, I haven't had to sacrifice or change. Whereas these days, what have the youth got? They've got all these phony plastic people that either the TV or the movie camera makes into celebrities, movie stars they call them. It's this fucking star. You know? We're all human beings, for Christ's sake. So, where does this take us? It takes us on a road to continued undermining of morality, ethics and principles, because these role models on the televisions, creating these images of these people that are not real, they are created by some writer sitting behind a desk or on a computer screen, for Christ's sake, you know. Think about it, you know. Television is not real, right? It is not reality, one iota. It is all 100% pure fiction. Fiction. So, what does that tell you now, what I'm telling you here? Question everything. and everyone, do not take the government, anything the government says is gospel, or anything that somebody who might be trying to benefit by you uses them as a lever to get something from you. Anyway, choose your tutors well and your gurus well. As I said, in my time I've been very fortunate in that my role models, and I will add now, gurus and holy men, who've guided me and advised me on questions and the riddles of the universe, the meaning of life, etc. How, when, why, what, where. How see, when see, why see. You understand? And fortunately, these people could furnish me with these answers. Didn't make me so much better at the time. However, the knowledge, the wisdom and the advice that they imparted on me would be utilised later on in every avenue of life. So, again, choose your teachers and gurus well. And again, I said question government and always question the church. The church more so than government, because the church is the great evil for the last, well, since Christianity, since Jesus was nailed to the cross. People have used Christianity as a tool of government and industry and economics. Because the church has always been about consolidating power. Right? Now, the church we will specify the Catholic Church here. The Spanish Inquisition, any of the Inquisitions were not, to call them kangaroo courts is a joke in itself, because there wasn't even a hint of justice when it came to the church and the Inquisition. Because I've written about this a few times in my journal too, that it was a case of, we find you guilty, now please confess. No jury, devil's advocate, solicitor, barrister, or anyone to speak for you. It was just a case of the church with all the power says, we find you guilty. Full stop. No arguments. We find you guilty. Now you must confess to legitimise this process we dared call justice on a court. So, if you didn't confess, they would take you off and torture you to the point where you would confess just to stop them torturing you much like history repeating itself nowadays with the terrorism stuff. Well, there's a term they use for it, where the CIA takes you to a country where they torture you. Well, now, one of their latest weapons in the game of torture was the testicular vice. You sit in a chair, back to front kind of thing, with a vice attached to it. They put your balls in it and they just wind it up and change you from a tenor to a soprano or a mezzo alto. But same thing. They torture you till you confess, as the church did for thousands of years. They did this, under the name of God, in the name of God, as now Muslims blow up people in the name of God. Religion is madness. When are people going to understand that condoning church religious behaviour, /anarchy, makes you a party, almost a perpetrator in the act, because you condone these actions. Have the strength and the conviction to stand up to the church and say no, or stand up to your faith and say no, this is not right. Even with the Muslims, and I'm not having a go at Muslims. Allahu Akbar, Salam Alaikum. Okay. Allahu Akbar. Even Muslims have to say no, because from the Quran, just 2 lines from the Quran have been twisted around to create a faction of Islam that is the radical, terrorist, the dark side. Who ever said that dark side? Again, it comes up. This is the dark side of religion. How they can justify killing people in the name of God.